Sawadika, thanks so much for joining us on Newsline. We're broadcasting live on NBT, Radio Thailand FM 88, and also on NBT World. It's a Tuesday, and the date is April 26th, and you're with me, Sandra Hanutsaha. We begin with the Thailand Moves Forward segment, and in our first story, the Prime Minister has called for the nation to build solidarity from the grassroots level and for community leaders to work according to the civil state or Pracharat model. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha chairing the opening of a policy meeting on driving grassroots economy with the Pracharat model addressed an assembly of village headmen, chiefs, and provincial governors from throughout the central region. In his address, the Premier asked all of the leaders to step up their work and allow their activities to be reshaped by domestic and foreign circumstances. He tasked them with encouraging the public to adjust their work to be more in line with the Pracharat model, to embrace innovation, and to bring value to their communities. He stated that it was the task of all to strengthen the nation from the grassroots level upward. The Prime Minister also called for an end to conflict and for a greater respect for the law. He explained that the government is working to reform the nation from within, as outlined in its 20-year strategy. The Deputy Prime Minister for Public Security has clarified that advertisements encouraging the public to vote either for or against the draft constitution are illegal. Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister General Wang Wang has reiterated that political movements both for and against the draft charter, which will be put to a public referendum later this year, are illegal under the new Referendum Act. He has encouraged relevant agencies to stay abreast of such activities and asked that the media be wary of presenting news on the matter. He asserted that campaigning for the referendum is the duty of the Constitution Drafting Commission and Election Commission. The Deputy Premier added that individual citizens must use their own discretion to decide how to vote. General Parawit also opposed having an international organization monitor the referendum, arguing that it is not a general election. A vice president of the National Legislative Assembly, or NLA, has urged people to exercise their voting rights in the public referendum on the new draft charter. NLA First Vice President Surachai Liengbunlechai, who also chairs the committee that collects public opinion on the charter drafting process, affirmed that the additional public referendum question submitted by the legislature to the Election Commission adheres to the 2014 interim constitution. Mr. Surachai said that under the interim charter, the NLA can put any important question to a public vote and make a final decision during the public referendum on the draft constitution. He added that such a question can also be derived from opinions of the National Reform Steering Assembly. Accordingly, the NLA has discussed with both its members and outside agencies before resolving to submit the referendum question to the EC. Mr. Surachai explained that Thailand may need to be equipped with a special mechanism during its political transition period to ensure that all strategies will continue without any interruption. The National Reform Steering Assembly, or NRSA, has reviewed a report on cultural heritage site management, with the intention being to draw new legislation for land expropriation. The NRSA most recently received a report from its Committee on Reforming Sports, Art, Culture, Religion and Morality, which proposed legal amendments to remedy redundant claims on cultural heritage sites. The proposal states that the 1987 Real Estate Expropriation Act and other relevant legislation should be amended so that any land considered to be a cultural heritage site can be acquired by the state for public benefit. It also pushed for greater awareness by allowing Thai citizens to propose new heritage sites. The Assembly agreed with the report and has suggested that more personnel be acquired by the Fine Arts Department to work on teaching the public about culturally significant sites. After the review, the NRSA sitting voted 164 to 6 with one abstention to pass the proposal and agreed to forward it to the Cabinet for consideration. The Ministry of Public Health is accelerating its malaria eradication campaign under the government's Pracharat model. Public Health Minister Piyasakorn Sakonsathyathorn has affirmed his ministry's commitment to realize the global agenda by the World Health Organization to end malaria for good, and announced Thailand's goal of eradicating malaria from the country by the year 2024. Malaria cases worldwide have dropped steadily since 2000 by more than 75% in 55 countries worldwide. In Thailand, the number of malaria patients has decreased from 150,000 cases in the year 2000 to 24,850 in the year 2015, marking an 85% decrease, with the remaining cases concentrated along the border. The Ministry of Public Health has announced its malaria eradication plan for 2017 to 2026. The plan consists of developing technology, innovation, and appropriate measures to eliminate malaria, increasing cooperation between partners, and empowering the public with healthy habits that prevent malaria. The plan has a total budget of roughly 2.3 billion baht. The Royal Thai Army Headquarters has celebrated the anniversary of the passing of King Naresuan the Great, honoring his liberation of the Thai nation after the first fall of Ayutthaya. Chief of the Defense Forces, General Somai Kautira, chaired a religious ceremony held to mark the anniversary of King Naresuan the Great's passing, which took place at the Royal Thai Army Headquarters. The ceremony was attended by high-ranking military officials and government representatives. The ceremony honored King Naresuan for his bravery, which ultimately led to the return of Thai sovereignty after the first fall of the capital of Ayutthaya. It acknowledged that his prowess as a leader brought peace and solidarity to the nation for a long period of time. A renovation project was previously initiated for a statue of King Naresuan at the Royal Thai Army Headquarters. It is to be completed in July this year. Siam Commercial Bank, or SCB, believes the Thai economy can still achieve 2.5% growth this year on government investment, but expressed concern over the export sector. Suthapa Amonwiwat, the chief economist and first executive vice president for the SCB Economic Intelligence Center, said the Thai economy this year will continue to be weighed down by the slower than expected recovery of the world economy. She cited the fragile U.S. economy and the failure of stimulus measures in Europe and Japan to hit their respective targets. Ms. Suthapa stated that changes to the structure of the G20 economies are having a direct impact on Thailand's exports and should result in further contraction by 2%. Nonetheless, the economist is optimistic that government investments will boost the economy during the latter half of the year, especially due to its focus on smaller businesses. She said analysts should watch major projects that have recently been approved by the cabinet, such as electric rail and motorway projects. She expects the overall economy to grow about 2.5% this year. The loan application deadline for the government housing project has been extended until the end of this month. Government Savings Bank, or GSB, Director Chathai Payuhana Wichai said only half of 30,000 people that applied by the previous deadline were eligible for the loan. He urged those that have already registered with the GSB to submit the required documentation if they want to expedite their application. The GSB last Friday extended the deadline to apply for the low-interest loans because there is approximately 3 billion baht left in the bank's budget. This has given prospective homeowners another chance to buy property. The registration period will end on April 30th. And local residents and tourists have flocked to Khon Kaen Airport to take pictures of the beautiful golden shower trees. The 1-kilometer road which leads to the airport is lined with blooming golden shower trees. The road has been nicknamed Tham Dok Khoon, or Cave of Golden Shower Trees, as their branches arch over the road and create a tunnel of blooming flowers. People have urged the tourism authority to organize a sightseeing festival for the blooming golden shower trees this time of year. It is said that the lack of water caused the trees to bloom even more this year. It is now common to see tourists posing for pictures with the trees, and the golden shower tree is also the provincial plant of Khon Kaen. Very beautiful indeed. And that is the end of today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. Up next in our ASEAN News segment, China's foreign minister visited Cambodia to discuss territorial disputes in the South China Sea. But first, we'll have a look at the exchange rates and also the commodity prices.
On behalf of the Thai Red Cross Society, I'd like to congratulate the Public Relations Department or the PRD on the 83rd anniversary of its foundation. I'd like to thank the Public Relations Department for always extending full cooperation to the Thai Red Cross Society in all its activities.
If the earth is your home, the ocean is theirs as well. Working together, the government and private sector can solve all the issues currently facing the Thai fishing industry. From legitimizing fishing operations to helping out our fellow fishermen and collaborating with international parties.
ตอนนี้ถึงเวลาแล้วนะครับที่เราจะต้องมาร่วมมือกันทำให้มันถูกต้องมันก็ต้องปรับตัวในช่วงแรกแต่ในระยะยาวมันก็คุ้มค่าถ้าไม่มีอาชีพนี้เราก็ไม่รู้จะทำอะไรกันแล้วผมก็พร้อมครับที่จะเป็นส่วนหนึ่งในการแก้ปัญหา
ท
In celebration of its 83rd anniversary, the Government Public Relations Department has vowed to develop its role as a reliable and trustworthy organization that provides the most accurate, up-to-date, and useful information to the people of Thailand and the international community.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline, and it's time for ASEAN News now. China's Foreign Minister Wang met with Cambodian leaders during a two-day visit to the Southeast Asian country aimed at strengthening bilateral ties. Wang first met his Cambodian counterpart, Prak Sokhonn, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the capital Phnom Penh. The meeting discussed bilateral ties, trade, as well as key regional and international issues. One of the topics on the table was territorial disputes in the South China Sea, as regional tensions mount over China's claim on the waterway. China's ties with Cambodia have won it some indirect influence within the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, although Phnom Penh vehemently rejects any notion of it doing Beijing's bidding in the 10-member bloc. A single country has the power to veto collective decisions in ASEAN. And China has reached a 4-point consensus with Brunei, Cambodia, and Laos PDR on the South China Sea issue, according to a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson. The consensus was reached when Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited the three countries from April 20th to 24th. Spokeswoman Hua Chunying said at a routine news briefing in Beijing that China and the three countries agreed that the territorial disputes over some islands and reefs in the South China Sea were not issues between China and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN as a whole, and should not affect China-ASEAN relations. She said the second point of consensus was that China and the three countries agreed to solve disputes according to international law and to oppose any attempt to unilaterally impose an agenda on other countries. Thirdly, China and the three countries agreed that the territorial and maritime disputes should be resolved through dialogue and consultation by the parties directly concerned. And fourthly, China and the three countries believe China and ASEAN have the ability to jointly maintain peace and stability in the South China Sea through cooperation. And now on to news from elsewhere in the world. The United States began its biggest European deployment of F-22 fighters with a visit to the Black Sea in an exercise aimed at beefing up military support for NATO's Eastern European allies, who say they face aggression from Russia. President Barack Obama promised in 2014 to bolster the defenses of NATO's eastern members, which were spooked by Russia's annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula and the Kremlin's use of pro-Russian forces in eastern Ukraine. The United States has deployed 12 F-22s, which are almost impossible to detect on radar, and so advanced that the U.S. Congress has banned Lockheed Martin from selling them abroad at Lakenheath, a British base in eastern England. But tensions are rising, and Russia says the NATO buildup is stoking a dangerous situation. 2 Russian warplanes flew simulated attack passes near a U.S. guided missile destroyer in the Baltic Sea in early April, said U.S. officials, who said the vessel was on routine business near Poland. Obama's attempt to reassure NATO's eastern members, such as Poland, the Czech Republic, and Romania, is termed the European Reassurance Initiative. It includes greater U.S. participation in training and exercises, deploying U.S. military planners, and more persistent naval deployments on Russia's doorstep. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the execution of a Canadian hostage by Abu Sayyaf militants in the Philippines, calling it, quote, an act of cold-blooded murder. Former mining executive John Ridsdale, aged 68, was captured by Islamist militants along with 3 other people in September 2015 while on vacation on a Philippine island. The Philippine Army said a severed head was found on a remote island on Monday, 5 hours after the expiry of a ransom deadline set by militants who had threatened to execute one of 4 captives. Trudeau gave a statement condemning the act and giving his condolences to the family and friends of the hostage.
Canada condemns without reservation the brutality of the hostage takers and this unnecessary death. This was an act of cold-blooded murder, and responsibility rests squarely with the terrorist group who took him hostage. The Government of Canada is committed to working with the Government of Philippines and international partners to pursue those responsible for this heinous act and bring them to justice. On behalf of the Government of Canada and all Canadians, I would like to express my deepest condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Ridsdale.
Trudeau declined to respond when asked whether the Canadian government had tried to negotiate with the captors or pay a ransom, or whether it was trying to secure the release of the other Canadian being held, Robert Hall. Abu Sayyaf is also holding other foreigners, including one from the Netherlands, one from Japan, 4 Malaysians, and 14 Indonesian tugboat crew. A Philippine Army spokesman said al-Qaeda-linked Abu Sayyaf militants had threatened to behead one of 4 captives on Monday if the 300 million pesos or $6.4 million ransom for each of them was not paid by 3 p.m. local time. Abu Sayyaf is a small but brutal militant group known for beheading, kidnapping, bombing, and extortion in the south of the mainly Catholic country. Brazil's Senate met for the announcement of the members to make up a special commission to assess the case for President Dilma Rousseff's impeachment. The Senate voted to choose a 21-member committee that will report back on whether to put Rousseff on trial in the upper house on charges of deliberately breaking budget laws to boost her re-election bid in 2014. The lower house voted this month there were grounds for a trial. If the Senate agrees to put her on trial in a vote on May 12th, as expected, Rousseff will immediately be suspended from office for the period of the proceedings. She denies any wrongdoing. The European Space Agency, or ESA, launched a satellite to track the progress of global warming as part of its Copernicus project. ESA said the Sentinel-1B joins its identical twin, Sentinel-1A, in orbit to deliver information for various services, from monitoring ice in polar seas to tracking land subsidence. It will also respond to disasters such as floods. The ESA said both satellites carry an advanced radar that images Earth's surface through cloud and rain, regardless of whether it is night or day. The Copernicus project, for which the European Union and ESA have committed funding of more than 8 billion euros or $9 billion until 2020, is described by the ESA as the most ambitious Earth observation program to date. And that is it for today's edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook by simply typing in NNT, or check out our website at thainews.prd.go.th/en. Today we say goodbye with playful pandas in a Malaysian zoo. For Newsline, I'm Sandra Hanutsaha. Have a spectacular day. Sawasdee ka.